So as of now, we're still waiting for the results for the Kyle Rittenhouse trial. Now, I don't know how the jury comes back with anything other than not guilty. If they come back and say guilty, I don't know where we go from here. I don't know where we go from here in the ideas of self-defense. If you can look at any of these videos, if you can look at anything that happened that night and say anything other than not guilty, you are either intellectually dishonest or you're just terrified of speaking up. And I don't know which is worse, right? Because they're both absolutely awful. All right, we already know the fact that jurors are having to drive back and forth to, of course, the courthouse, where they're seeing the protest outside the courthouse. They're hearing people say, because they're saying at these protests, we will riot if you sit there and if you acquit Kyle Rittenhouse. They're hearing this. They're seeing it. All right, they can't help but see it, right? It's a problem now with modern media. It's almost impossible for any member of the jury to not know the case and not know the ramifications of what's going to be happening around it if it's a national story these days. We also now apparently found out that the prosecution has been hiding evidence. That apparently the video they showed of Kyle Rittenhouse, the really blurry video where you couldn't see or make out anything that happened, apparently they've been withholding a high-def version of it. So right now the defense for Kyle Rittenhouse is trying to, of course, get a mistrial because of this. Now, frankly, there should have been a mistrial declared with prejudice back when they just, put it simply, they violated his Fifth Amendment rights. It's as simple as that, right? I mean, this whole case has been a miscarriage of justice, right? It's not just if they find this kid guilty, it will be a miscarriage of justice. The fact that it's gone this far, is an issue in itself. For one, the prosecution had no evidence at all clearly, right? So the fact it even got to court is BS. But now, the prosecution has, at this point, 3 strikes you're out, man. 3 strikes you're out. You violated his Fifth Amendment rights when you said, hey, why'd you remain silent until now? I'm not sure, maybe you were trying to hide something. And the judge, of course, ringed him out for this. He then went to one of the witnesses and said, well, why did you lawyer up, huh? I mean, I don't know why you'll need to lawyer up. They also put in evidence that the judge said could not be used. So there was pictures of Kyle Rittenhouse after the event, like a month or so after the event. And judge told him, can't use this. And he still brought it up in front of the jury. Okay? Now we're finding out they withheld high definition video that could have been used in Kyle's defense. How this is anything other than a mistrial at this point, how you could at all say there can even be a fair outcome if you let it go through the jury process is beyond me. All right, you cannot allow prosecutions to get away with this, and which makes me still wonder, how often is this happening outside of the Kyle Rittenhouse case? How often is this happening to just regular people for just dumb crimes? Let's say, whether it be drug offenses or just other simple crimes, right? We have no idea how much this goes on. We're only seeing it now because it's a high-profile case, but the fact that they're withholding evidence, high definition video that we used in his defense, that alone should be a mistrial with prejudice. There is no ifs, ands, or buts about it. The fact that they're even allowing it to still go through a jury at this point is a problem. It is an issue. Because the jury did not see a fair trial. The jury, in a way, has been tainted by the fact that, for one, let's also not forget, you had George Floyd's nephew saying, hey, we have people inside the courtroom taking pictures and video of the jurors. And even the judge said there was someone trying to take video of the jurors. So we already know the jury is somewhat compromised to at least a small level. And now you could say they're compromised in the sense of they were allowed to hear and see things that is unconstitutional for the process. The juror's not supposed, again, as a prosecution, you cannot bring up the fact that he remained silent. That is his right to remain silent. That does not imply any bit of guilt. That's how our system's been built for over 100 years at this point. We've established this. And yet, they've done things like this multiple times through the process. This judge, everyone's saying the judge is on the defense's side. The judge is basically another defense attorney. Listen, if the judge was truly nonpartisan, if the judge was truly just the perfect in the middle judge, this whole case would have been thrown out. All right? This judge, though he's done an okay job, has leaned to the prosecution, not to the defense, for just the simple fact that he's allowed this case to go on as long as he has. which still makes me wonder. And maybe this is a question for, put in the comments below. If they do come back with a guilty verdict, what then? What do we do? What do we do if they come back with a guilty verdict? We know what the left's going to do. They'll riot if it comes back as a not guilty verdict. And we know it intimidates people. Now, I'm not saying we intimidate people. I believe in peace. I'm a peace and loving kind of guy, right? I don't want violence. I don't like violence for the most part. Like, don't get me wrong, I did boxing and stuff, but I don't like real violence. You know what I mean? Like, that's not me. But what I am saying is, when do we get out and protest? When do we get out to show our support? When do we get out there and actually make our voices heard? Because right now, all they're hearing is the voices of the left. And I'm telling you, it does sway people. It does scare people. It does worry people. And they're willing to sell this kid down the river if it means they can be safe. At the end of the day, people don't want freedom. They just don't. The majority of people don't want freedom. It's a complete... of course, I want freedom. Everyone should have freedom. But the majority of people don't. What they want is security. I hate it. I despise it. The fact that is the case is very depressing, but it is the truth. And they're more than willing to sell some kid out if it means they can have security. So when they see these mobs of people outside the courthouse, when they see people going on national television talking about how we're going to get violent if it's a not guilty verdict, which is a threat, mind you, what happens? Why should they ever not go with them? Again, I'm not saying that the right should be violent. I don't like violence. I think there's a way around this without getting violent. But we have to at least stand up and make our voice heard. So, in the comment section, of course, what do you think? For one, obviously, is it going to be a guilty or not guilty verdict? Two, if it is guilty, what do we do? What do we do to get the attention, get their attention? What do we do to make them realize we are not going to be pushed around anymore? I mean, at the end of the day, even if he does get a guilty verdict, the kid did the right thing, right? And YouTube won't allow us, of course, to to say good things about someone dying, obviously. So I can't say what I really think about what Kyle did, I guess. We know who he did it to. We know their past, their history, and what they were doing to Kyle at that very moment. So I can't, of course, by YouTube rules, say, oh, I'm so happy that something happened to those people. What I can say, however, is I am so happy that Kyle is still here. Because had he not done what he did, he would not be here. All right? No matter what the verdict is, Kyle went to this place to help people. They went to this place to harm people. I know who I would rather back. Either way, what do you think? Put in the comments below. As well as, of course, if you enjoy this video, hey, leave a thumbs up, leave a like. It really does help out a lot. As well as, of course, hey, if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. When fingers crossed, everyone, fingers crossed, hopefully Kyle Rittenhouse will get a not guilty verdict, or even better yet, just mistrial with prejudice. We'll see. Either way, thanks so much for watching, and we'll be seeing you again real soon.